So then we are back with more understandings from the Second Tabernacle Services, speaking from the original manuscripts of the prophets of Yahweh. During the time of the prophets, many centuries ago, they gave us many understandings of the time of the end, and also relations with the understanding of the government of heaven versus what then the people were expecting of the government in this earth. And during this time, where we find ourselves during the time of Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter, we then come to our realization of having the time of restoration and also the time of reduction from 2031. However, these days where then the truth is much more available for every person, we find ourselves in a quest of making sure religion then is absolutely abolished. Understanding from the original manuscripts, we find then the Messiah completing the spring feast because he did not want any person to come in his name and try to make a religion out of it. The system is very nicely and neatly thought of, because then when the cities came around, they never used the cities as a way of manipulating the people, because it takes Ruach HaKodesh himself to teach the Gentiles and then give them ministrations. So then religions these days, they make absolutely no sense if they make a reference of the Creator. So it is utmost imperative for us then to be re-educated in what we decide to place our belief, and then making sure we absolutely place our focus in then rebuilding the cities spoken of by Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter. In these regards, every person on the planet, either a straight person or not straight person, or any person who can think of, we should always strive for then having the cities rebuilt. Because by doing this, then we understand religion is not part of it, and whatsoever is around the world, it's simply charitable organizations. And they can understand what the Messiah was explaining and being nice to people, however, never mixing religion with it. Because we understand the cities are then the places where people receive properly teachings and then also the ministrations. So then people are at liberty to spend their time preparing themselves for the trade coming from China. As we then talked before, there is this specialized computer system from China, and it is placed aside. They are only waiting for the proper time, where then many of the factors related with investments in the stock market and so on and so forth is a specialized computer system, where then people, they're going to be very busy, and then they won't have time for junky religion. However, we must replace what we learned wrongly with the proper view of what the Messiah told his people to do, and then the part of the Gentiles and how they should relate to those holy places. So then absolutely there is no longer religion. The cities are the places where then people find enlightenment of what the Creator has in mind for the person and for nations. And then these would relieve people from being obligated at some sort without having proper teaching. And this is where then the whole problem starts, because how can Gentiles, precisely where they are at, can receive teachings without comparing them? as if you would be then thirsty and a person would give you a nice cold cup of water, rather than trying then to teach you what the water is prior of you drinking it. So the relation is very similar, where then Gentiles can go to those places and find teaching tailor-made for them, and they receive ministrations. And that's about it in terms of what to receive from the holy cities. If you want more, obviously then you have to take the time and do some study and coming often to those places so you can receive more ministrations. But then obviously then when these people receive the basics of it, they have to return to their own everyday lives, because then what is bringing in the future for us is extremely busy time, where nations are going to be starting rebuilding themselves and also rebuilding their own economics. So then re-educating ourselves to place the authority where they belong. The authorities are found only in the holy cities, no place else. Because the Messiah said the authority was given to him in heaven and also in the earth, and he said to his people, go therefore and form holy cities, because he would be with them in each of the holy of holies. So then you can understand it takes Ruach HaKodesh to do the teaching outside of the holy cities, because Yahweh wants to make sure his people would not make a religion out of his own anointing. So it's very important for us to eliminate religion from our vocabulary and understand that there is only charitable organizations. There is no longer any other place that can indicate what the Messiah or then Yahweh is, other than understanding the holy cities. So then when you read Hebrews 11, then you understand what it means, the cities and then the city. It makes a whole lot simpler for you as being a Gentile, and including myself, so then we can visit at the cities and then receive ministrations and then resume our personal lives without being obligated of having any other situation related with religion. It makes a whole lot simpler. So please stay tuned, much more coming up, because we're going to analyze this further, and then basing what the Messiah taught his people and the many warnings he said many would come in his name and try to make a religion out of it, because he was teaching during the time where the leaders of his time, they made a religion out of the words of Yahweh by mixing takanot and maasim. We're going to analyze those later. Please stay tuned.